Hi, my name is Steven and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the 5 productivity hacks that I use in daily life. So we all want to try to do more in our daily lives, whether at home or at work. But achieving that might be quite difficult depending on how many personal demands are on your time. As an engineer with multiple side hustles, I routinely try to be as productive and efficient throughout my day as possible. And I'm keenly aware of how much stuff I need to get done each and every day so that everything remains on time. It's like a deck of cards. Each and everything must be properly balanced or else they will fall apart. So in order to combat this, I use multiple productivity strategies each and every day to help me through this. Everyone has their own style of doing things, and these are my hacks to get me through my day. Pick and choose which one of these apply to you and use it for your daily life. Because I truly believe the more examples there are out there, the more people will be used to using productivity hacks. And people can get a better sense of what works for them in their situation. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, hit that notification bell if you like this content. And here we go. So before we get into it, let's talk about how productivity hacks have helped me. In my mid-20s, I was introduced to productivity hacks for the first time in my life. Prior to that, I wasn't really efficient with my time and I really didn't know what productivity was. I would generally forget a lot of things that I needed to do, and I would ask a lot of questions about certain things. And also, when I did have a goal, I would take a lot of time before I would take any action on it. I kept wanting to delay things until it was the right time for me to start. And I really didn't have a plan for myself. All I had was large, broad goals, nothing specific. But when I moved to San Francisco in my mid-20s, everything changed. I was surrounded by people who took productivity hacking and efficiency to a whole nother level. They were uber productive with their time, and regardless of how busy they were, they always got stuff done. I was able to glean and learn a lot of productivity hacks from them. Those who used a variety of different tools and were master planners. In time, I was able to use the same tools as they did and also become a better planner as a result. I realized as I got better using these tools, I had more and more free time available to me. And it drove me to get more efficient and more productivity out of each and every day. It became a loop. I got more time, so I was able to get more efficient, and that would create more time for me as a result. So in addition to getting more done, this journey will allow you to create up massive amounts of free time. So now let's talk about the 5 productivity hacks that I use. Number 1, electronic note-taking. I use an electronic note-taking app for everything: appointments, general notes, and goal setting. It is an absolute lifesaver. I'm able to quickly open my phone and in a couple seconds see everything that I need to do. And I use this on a daily basis to remind me what I need to do, how I need to do it, and then goal setting for the future. All of this is accessible whenever I need to review it. I use Google Keep as my primary note-taking app. If you've seen my previous video, you'll know how much of a productivity hack it can be. So if you want more details, I'll put a link down in the description box below, so check it out. So how this helps me is that I'm able to take as many notes as I can on a daily basis and then review it as many times I need in the future. This gives me basically infinite memory because I can jot something down one day and 2 or 3 years later, it's still there available for me to review. And if I have a really efficient organization method for my notes, it'll be even easier for me to find that information 2 to 3 years down the line. Basically, I use Google Keep to supplement my memory. Everything that I don't really want to remember, I put it down in that app to review later. So if you're also interested in effective note-taking, check out my previous video on taking notes better. So basically the key of this hack is to take as many notes as you can and then store it in a place where you can easily review it later down the line. Number 2, planning ahead. Planning for the future has been one of my top go-to productivity hacks. I think about what I need to do and then I schedule it immediately. That way I have time set aside to get to it and that I know I will be working on it in the future. On a day-to-day level, planning helps you to allocate time during your day so that you can break things out into chunks and work on them. So if you have large or small projects during the day, planning ahead can help you organize your time during that day so you'll know you'll be able to get to them all. I'm not a fan of planning things down to the minute by minute. There's no reason to get that granular. So for me, I plan things in large or small chunks so that I'm not time capped during my day. And whatever I don't finish during that day, I push it off to the next day. And on a longer time span like monthly or yearly goals, I break down things into many mini goals. Planning those small mini goals along the way to my bigger goal helps me to have a sense of accomplishment so that I don't get burned out. So for example, if I have a larger goal like learning to play the piano, I have mini goals for myself like playing 10 hours a week minimum. So planning ahead like that can help you stay on course of your overall larger goal. And if you want to learn more about optimizing your day, check out my previous video on this subject. So to be more productive, plan ahead for the future. You won't regret it. Number 3, time management. If you want to be uber efficient and really productive, the one thing you have to have is good time management. Without it, you just can't do the things you need to do in a certain day. This is because how we allocate our time each and every day determines how much we get done during that day. Because each one of us has the same amount of time each and every day. How we choose to use that time determines how much we get done. Those who are really good at time management are more ruthless when it comes to how they spend their time. In my previous video, I talk about the 4 quadrants of time management. It's a great starter to help you understand the different aspects of time management. So check it out if you're interested in a more deep dive into that subject. But basically, the tasks that you need to do can be divvied up in different time management buckets. Those tasks that are important, urgent, not important, and not urgent. And once we're able to bucket tasks in these quadrants, it can help us prioritize our time doing those things. But even if we have the best time management skills on the planet, we're nothing if we can't follow through with it or if we're unorganized. So time management is definitely an aspect to be uber productive, but you have to have other things as well to complement it. Number 4, know thyself. This isn't technically a productivity hack, but it's crucially important as well. Basically, the better we know ourselves, the better we are at predicting what we're gonna do, whether that's positive or negative aspects in our lives. For example, if you know you're habitually late, then you put in plans in place to mitigate your lateness. You could try to figure out ways to wake up earlier or set an earlier alarm. So in this example, we know we're tardy, so we put in different plans in place to help us mitigate our lateness. Once we have an accurate understanding of who we are, then we can put rules and guidelines in place to help us. So for another example, say every time you check Facebook, you take an hour. So you put plans in place so that every time you do check Facebook, you don't have to do anything during that time. So once I was able to really understand myself in my late 20s, I was able to put a lot of rules and guidelines for myself. And this strategy was instrumental in helping me to be more productive and more efficient with my time. I was able to have a lot of free time, even though that period of my life was the most busy I've ever been. So if you need guidance on how to know thyself, check out my previous video on how to find your own identity. It'll give you some great tips and suggestions on how to figure out who you are and match your personality to it. So knowing yourself is a great way to be more productive. And number 5, do it once. I'm a big believer in measuring 3 times and cutting it once. So basically it means doing whatever detailed tasks you're doing only once, no repeats. Because there's a lot of things that people redo all the time because they weren't paying to the details or they didn't ask the right questions. Think of insurance forms, replying to emails, or just general work that needs to be redone. My hack is to make sure that you're done with it the first time so you don't have to spend time and energy redoing it again. Because once it's done, it never bothers you again, so that your future time can be freed up for something else. So tips on this may be to read instructions very carefully or ask people a lot of questions before you start working on something. Or maybe a tip can be just taking a long time on something, being as thorough as possible when doing something. And you complete that project to the best of your abilities before handing it in. So when in doubt, do whatever you can to make sure you're not redoing something. Measure 3 times, cut once. So here are my thoughts on productivity hacking. I talked a little bit about it earlier. For these hacks to be effective, you have to have follow through. As someone who struggled initially with productivity hacking, this was really hard for me. When I first started, I really didn't gain all the benefits because I didn't really follow through with any of it. I took these productivity hacks and I kind of applied them willy-nilly. I didn't really have follow through on any one hack. For me, I needed to focus on 1 or 2 productivity hacks at a time so that I didn't end up doing a lot of different things. So when you're starting out, stick to 1 or 2 productivity hacks and work on them. Don't try to do them all or else you'll just burn out and not do any. Because productivity hacking is not natural. You have to work at it to become good at it. And it will require a lot of effort for you to implement them on a daily basis. Because you gain the most benefit from productivity hacking over the long term. This will allow you to have much more free time the more consistent you are at it. So stick to a few of them, start slow, and work your way up. So there you have it. Those are my tips and strategies on productivity hacks that I use. There are many tips and strategies out there, but I do believe that these are a good basis to start from. If you can master these 5 productivity hacks, you are on your way to being uber productive. And other new hacks that you find along the way will be much easier to implement. With effective use of these tips, you'll be able to gain back valuable time and spend it on things that you love in life. So the main keys of this video are to plan ahead, know yourself, and have good time management. And once you commit in following through with that, you'll be able to reap the benefits of all that sweet extra time. So thank you for watching. Please leave me a comment down below on what productivity hacks that you use and why would you recommend them. And I'll see you next time.